by the way, I mentioned the term trifolia. This is a single leaf, and that's trifolia. It's got 3 leaves. So we'll see that term occasionally. It's very common with legumes. Kind of a mechanical importance. It's not quite as obvious, but it does again have a main axis. The side axes are coming off. They're longer and they get narrower and shorter toward the top. If you look at these flowers here, this would have obviously 5 sort of orangey sepals on the bottom. They got 5 petals. Probably need a hand lens to see more carefully. There's probably 10 stamens. And one way to tell if the ovary is superior or inferior is to look underneath the flower. If there's a bulge below the sepals, and that suggests it's inferior ovary. If there's no bulge, that suggests it's superior. It's so tiny I can't tell right now, but it suggests, at least looking at it, that it's superior. Pass these around, there's coming out. It's going to flower another week or 2, maybe probably a couple of weeks. But you can see a very strong central axis, shorter branches to the top, getting longer and longer to go down. You see even last year's flower stalk sticking out there. Very nice example of a panicle. And that's a pretty common type of inflorescence. You see that pretty frequently in flowers. And that's, again, that sort of Christmas tree shape. It's a very typical panicle. And you think of Christmas, you're thinking about getting presents, you're panicking, so that's a panicle. Normally have a ball of seed-bearing leaves on this female, and then the separate male plant would have a big male cone. Cicanese. This is the Cicanese family. This is Cicanese. And again, the Cicanese is the smaller of the 2 families. The only 2 of them that I know of around this area are the king sago and the queen sago. Cicus Circinalis, Cicus revoluta, I forget which is which, but those are the only 2 the ones that own the Cicanese. We have a number of others in the Zamiaceae. The cardboard palm and the kuntu are the most common, but if you see right down by the library, we're going to get over there eventually, probably when it's not as scorching. There's a nice collection, but they're pretty much all Zamiaceae. That's the larger of the 2 families. This is pampas grass just beginning to flower. That's a nice example of a panicle again, though. These are wind pollinated, but again, a big strong central axis, branches getting longer as you go down. A nice example of a panicle. Very common for grasses to have panicles like that. This one is one we saw on Tuesday. This one has round, woody cones. The needle-like leaves do stick off the twig a bit. They're not really pressed to. They're sticking off a bit. Japanese cedar. The Cupressaceae, they're stuffed, pressed tight down the twig. These are sticking off. Yeah, Taxonomy. This has woody cones. Cupressaceae has fleshy berry-like cones. This has woody cones. Same point. So this would be kind of a sign type thing here. Again, very tightly branched, but that would be kind of a sign likely for us. It is branched, but it tends to form a dome like that. A short little sign.
Not quite the umbel.
What's that?
Not quite the umbel shape.
Not an umbel. All of them, and you see that when they've fallen off, you see very easily. They're not all arising from the same point. Every flower doesn't come to a common point. There does branch out a bit. So an umbel would be they're all coming from one single point and all emerging from this. This is one of our gymnosperms that we didn't see this species, but this one of the gymnosperms has broader leaves, kind of lance-shaped. Would have little kind of fleshy stems with seeds. Podocarpus. This is a podocarpus. This is called weeping podocarpus. I forget which species, but I just happened to be reading out this yesterday. I guess he brought these in. There's a Florida landscape plants book, and it's got 3 different podocarpus. It's got the nagi, which is not now called nagi anymore, and the macrophylla, which has smaller leaves than nagi, and this one, the more graceful one. Maybe this is gracilor. Maybe it's podocarpus gracilor or something like that. Maybe this species. Do you remember the specific epithet for this? When you remember the gracilor? Okay. Yeah, so graceful, gracilor. I think it's a very beautiful plant. So we're going to get some of these on there. So 3 podocarpuses on there. Now this type of inflorescence, this is distinctive for the Asteraceae. Very, very few other things have their flowers displayed as a whole bunch in a single unit. So you see the outer ring there is the stamens have a few little flowers, a bunch more buds in the center. Each one of these cuddle-like things in the flower, that's called the head or capitulum. And that is very, very distinctive for the Asteraceae family. There's variations on it, but that is a type of inflorescence called a capitulum. And very, very distinct for that family. Back over there, the little yellow ones are another Asteraceae. Pass a few of those around. This is in the minge family, and very, very distinct for that family. We have a bilabiate corolla. In this case, we actually have two down, two to the side, and one at the top, but it makes sort of a kind of like a two-lip pattern. This is called bilabiate, and that's very typical of the minge family. This is the sage, salvia. This is the minge family, yeah. So bilabiate. And you notice all these petals are fused, but not all the way to the top. So in a little floral formula, you draw a ring most of the way around, like a U around them, but they do separate at the top. Take a guess on what inflorescence type this would be. Yes. They're umbel. They all come to one common point. They all emerge from one point. So that's called an umbel. That's not in the carrot family, but the carrot family, all of them have umbels, but some other things have umbels as well. So that would be an umbel in the lantana family, the Verbenaceae. So you see they all emerge from one common point. Umbrella? Like umbrella, yeah, like all the spokes on an umbrella, exactly, yeah. Same kind of, a big cylinder of flowers, so that's going to be a spike. And those are solitary. There's not like an inflorescence as such, they're just individual flowers born in there.
Axillary.
So axillary solitary flowers. And then behind you here, there's one of the angel's trump. It hasn't quite opened yet. Tomorrow it'll probably open. Sepals, you can see, are all fused together, almost all the way to the tip. The petals are fused into a very long tube right to the tip there. If it was open, you'd see the anther filaments start down here and they run along the petal tube until they branch out just near the tip. So they're adnate to the petals. The petals are connate or synpetalous, and the sepals are synsepalous. And then the anthers are adnate, the filaments of the stamens, I should say, are adnate to the corolla. And then the stamen anthers are connate to each other. So there's lots of fusion of that.
Does this open up
Adnate means fusion of unlike parts. Yeah, that'll be a big bell. Yeah.
And what was the broad classification of this?
This would be this is actually the Solanaceae family, but this type of flower we have synsepalous and synpetalous. So connate, sepals, and petals. So that's synsepalous and synpetalous. The adnate means fusion of unlike parts. So the stamen filaments fuse to the petals. So the stamens and the petals are different things. So the stamen filaments are adnate to the petals. Then the anthers all come together and fuse into a little unit, and that is the anthers would be connate. So a whole bunch of different fusion stuff going on there.
Smell?
And this again would be a cyme. You can see there's sort of a branching kind of thing. All the flowers are coming from this stalk here. They're not emerging as a corym. The flowers, a branch will come out here, and a branch will come out there, and then it all end up in a flat top thing. This is one flower structure that all end up in kind of flat top thing. So this would be sort of a cyme.
This is what?
This is a kind of a unique version of an inflorescence. This is a flower. This is in the poinsettia family, and if these leaves reddened up, it'd basically be like a poinsettia. This is a sort of a distinctive inflorescence. It's called a cyathium. That's distinctive for the euphorbia family. This is a female flower. There's the ovary, and you can see it's got 3 carpels to it. And there's a stamen sticking off here. It's basically a modified leaf that makes a cup, and there's one female flower or one stamen, one pistil or one stamen in each cup. So the flower is entirely reduced to a single stamen or a single pistil. So that kind of structure is called a cyathium, and that's distinctive for, maybe it's got several stamens in that cup there. But it does have milky sapling. A nice example. Wilted, not quite open. Bamboo orchid. Get it open up there a little bit. It's upside down, I wonder. Twist it around. So this kind of should look a bit. That's all deformed. Kind of like it's twisted around, but kind of like this. And what symmetry would this have?
Bilateral.
Bilateral symmetry. Typical of orchids to have bilateral symmetry. Whereas we have, like on those papaya flowers, if they have any papaya flowers yet, those are radial symmetry. These are bilateral symmetry. A nice example. Wilted, not quite open. Bamboo orchid. Let's get it open up here a little bit. It's upside down, I wonder. Let's shift it around. So this kind of should look a bit. That's all deformed. Kind of like it's twisted around, but kind of like this. And what symmetry would this have?
Bilateral.
Bilateral symmetry. Typical orchids have bilateral symmetry. Whereas we have, like on those papaya flowers, if they have any papaya flowers yet, those are radial symmetry. These are bilateral symmetry. Now this is something that's not common among flowers, but you do see this occasionally, is extra structures associated with the plant. You can see there are 5 bright green things on the back there, and then 5 paler things. That's the 5 sepals, the 5 petals, and they're kind of more colorful. I didn't use the term before, but these are kind of tepals. They're all sort of colorful. So you got 10 tepals, but up on the back you can see easily 5 sepals, 5 petals. This has the ovary is superior. That's that little bulge up on that stalk there. It has 5 stamens sticking off, 3 stigmas, but this extra stuff, this is called a corona. And this is typical of the passion vine family. Also the milkweed family has coronas. These are often derived from stamens. There's actually 4 rings. There's 2 big rings and 2 smaller rings in the middle there that are often derived from the base of the stamen filaments. So these, there's stamen filaments, so I'm not sure what these are derived from. But that's extra stuff that's associated with the flower. In this case, it makes like a crown or corona. So that I'll use those terms occasionally. Not many families have coronas in them, but the passion vine family and the milkweed family have coronas. 1 or 2 other things have coronas. Very, very distinctive for this particular family. Now the label says this is Passiflora incarnata, which is one of our native passion vines. It only has a vague resemblance to Passiflora incarnata, so I don't know what species it is. It could be a hybrid, but it's not incarnata. I'm going to find out what it is, but it's not incarnata. And this again, the whole inflorescence is above the leaves, forms kind of a dome shape or flat shape, so that'd be a cyme again, not a single lead axis like you have in a panicle or spike, more of a flat top. So this would be another example of a cyme in the firebush here. This is one of the kind of these kind of squishy, dippy kind of things. This flower I call salverform. It has a very narrow throat. These are all the petals coming up. The sepals are very tiny. I've already pulled them off. The petals have a very, very narrow throat, and they spread out quite widely at the top. That would be called salverform. This one has got a bit broader throat. Don't know if that would quite be called funnel form, but kind of halfway salverform, halfway funnel form. I don't know where you draw the line between these two. It's a little more open, so that might be more like a funnel form flower. This is a salverform flower. But again, you don't think of a morning glory that's got a bigger, broader throat as being funnel form, and so I'm not sure. Both of these, again, this is actually the same family. See, they're both tubular flowers. Both have kind of a pinwheel pattern. That's typical of that family. As a matter of fact, there's another pinwheel like that. This is the oleander family. So this, again, if you see something like this that's got either salverform or funnel form flowers with a pinwheel, that's almost certainly Cicanese, the oleander family.
Is it native here?
This one is actually native to Central America. It is grown here as an ornamental, and it does naturalize here quite easily. All these little holes are probably where little monarchs laid eggs, and they started chewing, and a wasp got the larvae. Uh-oh. Yeah, this little part there is corona. There's the petals, and then below are the sepals. This is another Cicanese. This one's had extra flowers. Extra petals.